To many in the West, it is treated as the Jewish alternative to Christmas, but nothing could be further from the truth. Others call it the Festival of Lights, but in Hebrew, it is simply called Hanukkah. But what is Hanukkah, and where does its observation originate? The term Hanukkah comes from the Hebrew word for dedication, specifically appearing in connection to the sanctifying of the altar of Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth. We first see the term in the Torah, the books of Moses, in Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 7. Zot Hanukat HaMizbeach Vayom HaMashach. This is the dedication of the altar in the day of its anointing. The custom of observing Hanukkah annually, however, is not commanded in the Torah. In fact, the Hanukkah celebration, as kept today, is not found within the Hebrew canon of the Tanakh, referred to as the Old Testament by Christianity. The reason for this is because Hanukkah is a historic celebration commemorating events that transpired in the 2nd century BC that took place after the canonizing of the Hebrew Tanakh. However, the Greek canon of the translated Hebrew text, known as the Septuagint, does contain the history of Hanukkah in the books of the Maccabees, which was originally included in the King James Version of the Bible. In the 4th century BCE, Alexander the Great spread Greek culture by conquest and colonization throughout the regions surrounding the Mediterranean. By the age of 30, he had created one of the largest empires of the ancient world, stretching from Greece to northwestern India. Alexander built cities for religious and political means on the ruins of empires he had destroyed. The effects of his conquest would create a cultural shift that would change the world. This cultural shift is known as Hellenization. This term comes from the Greek word Hellas, which was the original name of Greece. The Hellenization process promoted a universal concept of culture by blending Greek philosophies, traditions, and language with the conquered lands. This made the entire region a literal melting pot of religion, science, art, and music. This shift was celebrated by many and welcomed by most. For the Yahudim, who are called Jews, however, the Hellenization process would largely be rejected. 400 years prior, they had returned to their ancestral homeland from Persia, having been exiled by Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel. The book of Ezra records edicts from Cyrus, Darius, and Artaxerxes, kings of Persia, who all gave edicts for the rebuilding of the temple of Yahweh, the one and only creator of heaven and earth, in Jerusalem. The first temple had been destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar's siege against Jerusalem. The temple was originally built and dedicated by King Solomon and was a true marvel of architecture. The rebuilding of the temple was a monumental effort for the Yahudim, especially in the wake of re-establishing their nation. The temple was a colossal structure with panels overlaid with gold furniture, and exquisite tapestries. The treasury rooms of the temple were filled with gold and silver. The rebuilding of the temple and the return from the exile were already prophesied to take place by the prophet Daniel previously. The Yahudim clearly had favor with the kings of the earth and also with the King of heaven. Despite this, however, many Jews at this time became Hellenized, participating in various Greek traditions and even adopting Greek names. This would only worsen when the unexpected death of Alexander the Great took place in 323 BCE. Alexander had no heir to his throne, therefore he divided his reign with his 4 generals. For this reason, the prophet Daniel had previously been shown in a vision the nation of Greece represented as a leopard having 4 heads. Seleucus ruled over Asia Minor, Syria, and Babylonia, and later Yehuda or Judea. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome. and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. While in the land of Babylon, the prophet Daniel was given a vision depicting the destruction of Media Persia at the hand of Alexander the Great. This very war is enshrined in the Alexander mosaic to this very day, where we can see a depiction of Alexander the Great coming against Darius III and his empire. Daniel was given this vision way before it even took place. This is very important. In the book of Daniel, or Daniel chapter 8, we see that the Medo-Persian Empire is represented as a ram with two horns, which is attacked and destroyed by a goat that has a single horn. According to the book of Daniel chapter 8, this is the country of Greece and its first king. We read this in the book of Daniel chapter 8 verse 20. The ram which you saw having two horns are the sovereigns of Media and Persia, and the male goat is the sovereign of Greece. And the large horn between its eyes is the first sovereign, who is Alexander the Great. And that it was broken and four stood up in its place are four rulerships arising out of that nation, but not in its own power. And in the latter time of their rule, when the transgressors have filled up their measure, a sovereign, fierce of face, and skilled at intrigues shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy incredibly, and shall prosper and thrive, and destroy mighty men, and the Kodesh, the set apart people, speaking of the Yahudim, the Jews. This is a prophecy concerning Antiochus Epiphanes when he would destroy Jerusalem and the people of Yahuwah. The prophet Daniel has been shown before it even took place what would transpire. Further, we read in the book of Daniel chapter 8 that he would put an end to the continual sacrifices that are done, that he would pollute the sanctuary, and that he would even make the messengers in the heavens stumble at the works which he was doing on the earth. And we will talk about those in just a moment. The book of Maccabees chapter 1, the first book of Maccabees, Hamaccabim chapter 1, tells us what took place to allow these events to transpire. In the book of Maccabees chapter 1 verse 11, we read, "In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise, or a gymnasium, at Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the Kodesh, the set apart covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief." A gymnasium in the ancient world was not just a place where you went and exercised. This was a place where you were educated in the mystery religions of the Greeks, where you would learn about their deities and pay homage to them, and you would perform naked in front of them, supposedly for their amusement. Therefore, the children of Israel were blaspheming against Yahuwah, making themselves indecent, making themselves uncircumcised, and they were doing this in the very place where Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, said that his name would be forever, and that is Jerusalem. A century and a half after the death of Alexander, Antiochus Epiphanes became king over the Seleucid Empire. Antiochus Epiphanes is the name he bestowed